Recording, baby. How are ya?
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, today we got episode 210.
Hello, San Antonio.
Is that Arizona or Texas or something like that?
Really? It's Texas.
Is it? I knew it was one of the two. I narrowed it down. I'm in the Showcase Showdown.
Oh, no, you're not. No, you're not, Monty. It's the home of my favorite salsa, as a matter of fact.
I thought your favorite salsa was made in New York City.
You got the right ad. Hey, salsa is made in San Antonio.
I love that commercial.
And it really is outside of, when my mom will give me a jar of homemade. Yeah, that's my favorite store brand salsa is Pace.
Oh, nice. Nice. All right.
So there you go.
So you are right on top of things again. So this is episode 210. And today we got a couple things to talk about. One thing is going to be our topic of the day. It's going to be playing as your favorite player. Ron had a couple of ideas on that as far as talking about, why we play some of these things and who we play as and the whole bit. So, this is the kind of topic that Ron come up with today. And so we're going to talk about that. Ways to get a hold of us, digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the text line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. And over on Patreon, if you'd like to support the show, we have a couple of new Patreons. Thank you so much for helping out. Patreon.com/digitaltodice. And we're recording this on Saturday, January 13th. I actually went to work this morning, and it was raining so hard that we couldn't play our games because it was leaking. And so I basically packed up the truck in the rain. So I packed up the truck in the rain, unloaded, repacked, and then unloaded again, all in the rain. By the time I come home, I was just soaked and miserable. So that's why we're recording here on Saturday. Those of you in the Buffalo area can listen to this show 4:30 on Monday. Okay.
Right after kickoff, right?
Imagine that. They moved a playoff game. That's something else.
Yeah, I think the state of New York said, you got 1 to 3 feet of snow you got to move.
Oh, that's a lot of snow.
That's a lot of snow. That's a lot of snow. We've had 2 huge windstorms since Tuesday night.
Yes, we've had wind and rain out here. It's been bad on the east.
It was Tuesday was 4 inches of snow followed by an overnight downpour, and we had a wind gust southeast of us of 82.
Ooh.
We had 69 mile an hour wind gusts in the city. Don't laugh. It was we missed the all-time record by 4 miles an hour, and we're just not used to that up here. And so lots of delays and stuff because roads froze and all that. And this morning we had, when I woke up at 6:30, it was howling out there again. My mom was supposed to come over today. We said we probably don't think that's a good idea, so she didn't, which is why I'm available this afternoon. But very unusual to have 2 days in the same two high wind warnings in the same year up here, let alone twice in the same week.
Yeah, we did. I was lucky. We just had some of our fence replaced before the wind, so it's still standing. But when I take my dog for a walk, there's a couple of houses that we go by that have dogs in the yard, and their fences have been blown over. They stood them back up, and they just blew over again. It's just unbelievable. The wind and the rain. Yeah, it's like the wind and the rain has just been so bad. Coming home today, just this morning, the highway was all puddles, and you could see when people hit a puddle, and the water sprays everywhere. So you slow down and just get in the middle of the highway on the crown if you can to try to get by. I
remember years ago walking to lunch one day in the last place I lived before we moved to Burlington, and a bus came by, and it was just going fast enough, and that puddle was deep enough that the chair and I got soaked, just like you'd see in the movies.
So you had a car wash, basically.
Essentially, and even in July, it was rated pretty good anyway, so you're not feeling all that warm. No, even in July, that was cold.
Oh yeah, it is.
And I got laughed at.
No, that's too bad. I would have laughed, but I still would have wiped you off.
I know you would have.
I would have laughed first, though. Then helped.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me see. We'll do a quick what you're playing here. Then we want to have a couple other things to talk about, including Ron was at the SABR meeting.
Yeah.
So he wants to talk about that. But let's get into what you're playing. I'll start this week.
Okay.
So I've been in a huge hockey mood.
Yes, you have.
Just like ridiculously hockey mood. I pulled out. I've been in this mood where I've been seeing some things on YouTube, and I've been in a huge WHA mood, hitting the WHA rabbit hole, learning a lot about that, the merger. Again, reading a lot of hockey news articles about it. It's been fun reading and learning. It's been entertaining and informative at the same time. But I went down this little thing when I was reading about the Bruins winning the Cup in 69-70, how they had disposed of Chicago in 4 games and were waiting for the winner of the Pittsburgh-St. Louis series, and Pittsburgh had tied up the series at 2-2 or something. So I was like, well, what if Pittsburgh had won that series? So I've been playing Pittsburgh-Boston best of 7 in 69-70, see how the Penguins would have fared against the Bruins. So that's kind of been my side project here. I started it in I tried to set it up in Strat, and I just have a hard time setting rosters in Strat. You helped me out the other day, which I think was one thing I was doing wrong, but I just went into Action PC, set it up, and I went into inside the crease on the PC, and it just sets up so easy. So I was playing game 1 in Action PC and inside the crease and having some fun with that. It really was.
I don't think that Pittsburgh will be as tough as an out as St. Louis is in the tabletop.
St. Louis is carded so strong in 69-70. They win a lot of that time when I play against Boston. No matter what game it is, they just tend to win all the time. Boston's not carded strong in 70 or 72, the years they won the Cup. Again, the Rangers were destroying them in 72 when I played. So I tend not to replay those Cup finals too often because I know who's going to win, and it's not going to be the Bruins. So I've been playing a lot of that. It was fun to pull out inside the crease on the PC again. Boy, I hadn't played that in so long I had to read up on how to play that, especially the penalties. But I think I got it flowing pretty good.
Good.
The new Action PC hockey is fun. Got that all dolled up with the players and the logos and everything. So that's been kind of fun. So I've been playing a lot of hockey. I did some more Hockey Blast. I did some more Hockey Bones. And I did some Apple hockey. So I've been pulling out the mat, rolling out the mat, and playing some games. And nothing is part of a big product. Just kind of, sometimes I like to play a game and just enjoy the game itself. Mm-hmm. Not so much the teams as it is. I enjoy Hockey Bones. I enjoy App. I enjoy Hockey Blast. And sometimes it's just fun to play a game of it. Not so much, okay, this has to be part of a bigger project. This has to be part of a season or a series or a reason why. Sometimes I just want to play a game. And I
grins and giggles, sure.
Yeah, because you enjoy the game so much that you just want to play it. Even Action PC, sometimes I pull it out and I want to play that again. So that's what I've been doing, playing a lot of just no particular reason why, just pulling on a couple of teams. And I like to do that once in a while. It's like I have a season that I just have not played, and I feel as though if I can at least pull it out and play a couple of games from that season, I feel as though I've kind of justified the purchase, if that makes sense. Because, sales come up and we grab seasons, whether a PC or printed or whatever. And I just like to say, geez, yeah, I can look at that season and say, oh, yeah, I've played that a couple of times and not look at it just collecting dust, So that's what I'll do. Luckily, I have not done much printing and cutting or designing, which I did for many weeks, so now I'm actually playing things. So that's been quite enjoyable. I'm back to the rinks now doing the play-by-play, so that's been kind of busy as well.
Christmas break's over, yeah.
Yeah, Christmas break's over, so we're right back at it, and I'm going into the meat of my schedule coming up. So we are trying to schedule guests for the show, but some of the guests that want to talk about some things, we might push that back to March probably. I might do some light things on Saturday night myself, but I don't want to be rushing anything with the guests, so we're going to probably have some guests on in probably early March, mid-March to talk about some things on a Saturday night chat. That's about it. I started to play. What was it? Football game. I was playing 1981. And I started to roll the season, and it was Mike Sealock 2-minute drill.
Oh, okay.
I pulled out 81. I actually printed out the cards for 81.
Didn't you pre-play a couple wild card games too this year?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, so I started to play 81 with Mike Seelock, because that's 4 roles. You get your
Right.
your offense and defensive role for each team. There's your final score. And I started inputting that in the Pro Football Helper, but I hit the bug where you go to input the score and it says can't find the game, even though you've already clicked on the game. So you got to exit out and go back in, and then you'll put it in. And I think Tom had fixed that, because I remember before he passed away, I was talking to him about that, and he's like, "Oh, I'll fix that." And I thought he did, but whatever version I have, it's not fixed. So it's just after a while that became a pain. So you couldn't just put in the score. You had to exit, go back into the season, and then put it in.
Yeah,
again.
that's not fun.
And it was like, this is a pain in the neck. So then I found out, I think Apple Brian was streaming Game-Winning Drive.
Yeah, they've released some of the 2023 season for Downey.
Yeah.
Game-Winning Drive and Ultra Quick, I think, are out.
Oh, was it? Yeah. So they had Game-Winning Drive all set. So I grabbed that and I played Cleveland-Houston, I think. Cleveland actually won that game. And so now I got to go and play the other games here. But yeah, so Game-Winning Drive 2023 is ready to go from Downey if you want to grab that. I've always enjoyed that game. Too bad they didn't have it from Momentum. Momentum, I think, is my favorite Downey football game. So yeah, so I've been playing a little bit of football, a little bit of hockey. Again, some of the I was going to roll the rest of the playoffs there and see how it goes, but I just been beat up here with the snow. We got some snow, so we had to clear some snow a couple of times, and then with work, so I haven't streamed too much just because I've been kind of beat, and I don't like to stream when I'm tired because it's low energy. You don't want a low energy stream, but I did get some hockey games in before the snow flew online. That was kind of fun. So that's kind of what I've been playing. A little bit of football, a little bit of hockey, things like that.
Nice. Let's see. My 88 baseball replay started this week, which should run through probably September or October. So did 3 games, did the Tigers and Red Sox, did the Yankees and the Twins, because I always try to feature the defending world champions, and in the Mets and the Expos, which was a Dave Gardner game yesterday, went 13 innings. So those are now up and live on the channel. Offline, I've been doing 78, 79, playing the Canadians and the Islanders, and they're both fantastic teams. And it's fun to play. They don't lose very often. They are really, really, really good teams. But that's Kenny Dryden's last year. And I think Chico Rush is better than people thought. I'm just going to leave it.
I was watching a video on YouTube about it was called the 70s Sabres. And it just went from them starting the team and at the draft and drafting players in their first couple seasons and this and that. And then it's good 55 minutes long, this video. And I get up to the point where Dave Dryden and Ken Dryden played against each other, and it had the video of them skating to center ice and shaking hands in that game.
That's cool.
Yeah. They said it was the first time 2 brothers had played goal against each other in the NHL.
So today the mom would have had half the Canadians and half the Sabres jersey, right?
Oh, no, it would have been all Canadians. At least if I was the dad, I would have been all Canadians. Like, I would have said, Dave, congrats for playing in Buffalo, but I'm sorry, the Canadians is.
Yeah, take care of me in my retirement. Get a couple more of those paychecks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all the sports stuff I've been playing. I finished the by request stuff. So I did the 62 NL playoff, which technically wasn't a playoff because it was considered regular season games. Someone asked, I didn't think it was between the Dodgers and the Giants in a best of 3. And he said that, but the Giants and Dodgers didn't play in the playoffs until 2010. I said, well, you're half right. They didn't play in the postseason till 2010, but those 1-game playoffs or whatever, or best of 3, were considered regular season games. And in fact, it's the longest season in National League history, because that was the first year they played 162, and it was the best of 3. So if it had gone 3, they'd have played 165 meaningful games, which Gardner would have passed out after Game 4. But so the Dodgers won. That was pretty awesome. And so the regular season in 88 has started. I think that's about it. I'm busy with some real life stuff. Everything's okay, but you still got to deal with it and all that. And so Thursday, was it Thursday? Thursday night. Derek Bain, who is the co-chair of the SABR, which is the Society of American Baseball Researchers. You might have heard of sabermetrics.
Yep.
advanced statistics and all that. Well, that's where it comes from, SABR.
Okay.
So everyone who doesn't like all the new stats that baseball come up with, blame them. They have a gaming committee, a gaming and simulations committee.
Cool.
So Thursday night, they were able to get Dave Cook to come on and do a presentation.
Oh, that's cool.
It really was. And Dave talked about the first game he ever played, which I think was pretty close to the first game I ever played. Milton Bradley came out with it with cards. When I played in the 80s, the Tops made the cards and they had the player's license. And they rolled pretty much 2d6 and read the results on the back. And so the card he showed from 69 was Mo Drabowski, the pitcher from the Orioles, whoever must have owned a chunk of the company, because his batting card was loaded, absolutely loaded. I mean, there was a home run on a 2.
Really?
Doubles on a 3 and a 12. And he goes on further that one year he got the baseball encyclopedia for a Christmas present. Parents paid $50 for that in 1970. And realized that Mo Drabowski was a 125 career hitter. And that kind of was the impetus of him getting involved with baseball stats. Like his parents bought him a calculator in the early 70s. And, you and I probably listened to ball games on the radio at night or read comic books or whatever with a flashlight. He was talking about doing batting averages with a calculator with a light on.
Oh, wow.
And so he talked about how he got into it in his extraordinary Little League career, where he was afraid of the ball. In his first year, he never put the ball in play.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't swing it.
Yeah.
and all that. And he talked about his card and dice game that he came up with in the early 80s and sold. It was 4d6. He rolled to see if you rolled 2d6, 2 to 7 was on the batter's card, and 8 to 12 was on the pitcher's card. And then you read the other 2 to read the result. So we did that for 2 years. And then got in the age of computing and came up with a football game. And so he just kind of went through the whole process of that. But there was I think at one point there were 73 of us there, which they said was the biggest turnout they've ever had. It was a Zoom meeting. I mean, and thankfully they muted us all and all that, so you couldn't hear anyone snoring or anything like that. Yeah. But really, even for as much of action PC baseball that I play, there were things that I learned about the game. Didn't realize that if you do like a career league, for instance, it'll keep all those stats for you. So if your league's been 20, 25 seasons, it's all the leaders. You click on a team, you click on a season, it'll give you, tremendous stuff. And it was an hour and a half, and Dave is just really good at what he does. But yeah, he really, so I played. He talked. I won't spoil much more of it because the link will be on YouTube, and watch the Facebook group. When I see it go up, I'll post it. But he even talked a little bit about how the game works on the inside.
Okay.
Not a ton, but there. But SABR membership, the Society of American Baseball Researchers, comes with the complete access to the sporting news. Every single issue, every single issue from 1895 or 9 or to 2003.
Newspapers, right?
And I believe it comes with a subscription to newspapers.com, which has about 100 million pages of newsprint.
That's kind of weird though, because one of those would be more than the $8 a month.
Newspapers is about 20 by itself.
So why would they offer that for $8?
Because it's $8 a year. I'm sure there's a lot of people do a lot of research.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that you join SABR for $8 a month, and you get newspapers and sporting news included, which is probably like a $30 value or more. Also
probably close to $5,000 in free PDFs for books written by SABR members.
Yeah, I might sign up just to kind of poke around.
So really, stuff. You don't. It doesn't take much to do there's going to be something, I think, if for baseball fans, I really think there's going to be something of interest, from 19th century baseball to the business of baseball to minor leagues. I mean, it's not just Major League Baseball. In fact, there's a couple of Federal League books I stumbled across. I thought of you that you might be interested in. So really, really enjoyed it. Actually have to be a member of SABR to attend any of their virtual seminars. I know Derek a little bit through Facebook. I wouldn't say that we were friends, but we're mutual acquaintances on Facebook. I couldn't tell you the name of the other co-chair of that, but he was freezing his took us off above Vancouver. a big Blue Jay fan, and it really was nice. It was just kind of sit and listen to stories, and so
cool.
So and Dave was pretty open and talked, and it wasn't, in this particular case, it wasn't just strictly the baseball game. He was asked about like the animation in the hockey game, for instance, and he took a moment to answer that. And clearly there were people like me who were quite familiar with the stuff, and others that had no idea that the game existed. So
it's amazing how many people that play the cards and dice that are unaware, or do the research and aren't aware of the actual.
Right. I mean, when we had the WHA guy on, he was completely unaware of that. And so for those of you who dropped me messages during that, Dave and I are thankful that you guys enjoy the show so much. I must have gotten messages from 4 or 5 different people, Dave, that I had never even heard of before, that said how much they enjoyed the show and they listen every time that we put a new one out. So thank you very much.
Yes, very nice.
So that's been pretty much it. SABR.org, SABR.org. And again, no pressure to do that. There's a couple options. One is the $80 a year, and the other is $8 a month.
So you've been watching SABR. I've been watching about the Sabres. So it's been an interesting week.
And the Bills don't play till Monday. So
that just come across the wire. Mike Jabral was all concerned about that. He's like, oh, what are they going to do? I'm not sure. I don't think he's in the Buffalo area, but he grew up in the Pittsburgh area. Yeah, and he's just like, are they going to play? They're going to play. I'm concerned about it. He hasn't slept in 3 days. From what it sounds like. I've been following him.
Right. Now he can get a good night's sleep.
Now he can get a good night's sleep. So now,
then prepare, and then
and they have to take the day off Monday now to watch the game.
Yeah, well, Monday's a holiday.
Oh, for some people it is.
Right, for some. So he'll start the tailgating at 8 a.m.
Yeah, it still would have been cool to try to play a game in a blizzard. I know it wouldn't have been fun for the referees, but still, it's there was a couple games here in New England that they played, and
it's more of the wind, I think, because when it's coming off the lake like that.
I just remember this. There was some games in New England when the Patriots were bad, and people were like, yeah, we're going into the game, and they're like, they said they were closing down Route 1. It's like, if you shut down Route 1, you can't get to the stadium. And I'm like, why would you continue to have this game if people can't get to it? If the state police are turning you away, don't have the game if you can't let people get to the stadium. That was my only thing, And some people got there. I don't know how they got there, but some people get in and were rocking, singing up in the snow and having a good time. But most people didn't get to the game, and that's when you cancel it. If you're saying, look, we can't get you to the game, you're not allowed to drive to the game, then that's when you shouldn't have the game.
Right.
Unless everyone's going to walk there, which is not going to happen either.
There's not enough beverages that come out of wheat-based beverages that would make you want to do that.
Yeah, I know. So I always get a kick out of that, especially out here in New England when they're like, yeah, the Patriots game, they're still playing, but all roads are closed.
Did you ever go to the old Sullivan Stadium when the weather was bad? I mean, that was just a dump.
No, I was there a few times as a kid. Always was usually it was early in the season is when we went. I know I had buddies that went to the not the tractor plow game. They didn't go to that, but there was another one that they went to. It was the same thing. It was like a 3-0 game in the snow, and the team was out of it at that point. I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s, and they're like, we're going in. It's going to be unbelievable. And it's like, no, the team's like 1-14. It's not going to be anything close to unbelievable.
And you're sitting on a cold, hard, frozen metal bench.
And I think they were playing Miami again that day too. And I don't remember if they won or lost, but it was just they couldn't wait to go in. They couldn't wait to go in.
There was a few years they weren't allowed to Monday Night Football.
Oh yeah.
because the crowd was so rowdy and the place was not lit properly, and the field was, because it was all plastic until the early '90s, right? I don't know when they put the grass in the
Yeah, they had super turf for the longest time. I don't know if they ever had grass in there.
Yeah, they did.
Did they? Oh yeah,
the
snowball was grass. Yeah.
The last few years there was grass, but they didn't crown the field enough.
Oh yeah.
And so they get a Monday night game against Baltimore.
Oh yeah, I remember that clip there. It was just a lake.
And it's a monsoon, and the lights are reflecting on the field, and so all you can see, So, the exact words the ABC executives I can't repeat on the air, but it was 3 or 4 years before ABC agreed to go back to do a Monday night game.
Yeah, there was
Patriots were on the road.
There was a game. I think it was a Monday night game. Maybe it was that game there, or there was the one that they won, and they went on the field and they took down the goalposts. And one guy tried to carry the goalpost across the highway, and he hit the high tension line above him, and he got killed.
Himself?
I think he got killed. Carrying the goalpost, and he hit the wire.
Yeah, those are metal. They used to be wood, but now they're metal.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh well, that wasn't a good idea. So yeah, we've had some. So before Brady, we had some bad times here. Let's just say that. So anyway, so let's get to our topic of the day, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
All right, why do you lead us in?
All right, so playing as your favorite player, the retirement or the departure this week of Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick and Nick Saban from their respective coaching positions kind of made you wonder, would someone do, let's say, a complete or a couple season coaching replay for there? I've seen people try to do career replays of players such as Pete Rose or Hank Aaron or something like that, where 2,000 games, good luck with that. But as opposed to playing with someone's favorite team or as a neutral observer as I do, or like you're just doing a one-off, you would intentionally go into a project or just, to play as your favorite player. You might be Rick Middleton or Bobby Orr or someone like that, where it's not just nostalgia. It's specifically because you want to think about or remember the time of certain that. So how many of you out there play to replay a certain player, not necessarily a certain group of players, but whoever your favorite player is? And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a superstar. If Lyndon Byers or Chris Nyland, I have no idea why Chris Nyland will be anyone's favorite player, but it's all possible. Again, take us off the beaten path for that. It certainly is valid. And I don't know if I could do it for a Jim Rice or a David Ortiz, but maybe you kind of do it with Roger Clemens, taking Roger Clemens starts.
Yeah, that's the only one I've really done as far as trying to take a particular player and see how they did. And it's easier for football or baseball because, Clemens, he played 20 or 30 games. I mean,
you start 33, 34 games a year, right?
I'm not playing 150 games or whatever it is. And with football, you get, 14, 15, 16 games for somebody, so that's easy enough. It'd be more difficult if you wanted to play a batter or a fielder in baseball or, in hockey and basketball because they play a lot of games. But yeah, the Clemens was interesting because it's something that's like, I want to see how he does. He had such a good year and he got off to a great start. And let me tell you, so far, every time I've tried it, it has not been anywhere close to what it was in real life. And it just kind of makes you wonder, like when you play some of these things, we always talk about playing the flukes, you know what I mean? This was a 13-2 hockey game or a 63-0 football game. Well, you won't replicate that. The flukes you can't replicate because the cards are pretty much average, and the flukes either way are all kind of built into that. So you'll be lucky to get something close to that. So I've been playing. I did it in Strat with Clemens in '86, and he got lit up, and the Sox finished 22 games out of first place, which was crazy. So now I'm trying it with payoff pitch. However, Digital Diamond is simming the rest of the games. And I got them almost 500 in second place right now. I mean, not that I got them there, but that's where they are. And Clemens is doing well. I think he's 3-2 or 4-2 right now.
Okay. Yeah. And again, sometimes the real life result is the fluke.
Maybe, it is.
That's a whole other topic there. I mean, you go back to the 72 Bruins and Rangers, and every engine that we did that in, not to go too off topic, the Rangers are the better team.
They're carded better and everything, yeah. I mean, their shooting ranges are better, so the chances of them winning are much better than Boston winning.
But football, you made a good example in football. I know that now Red Sox fan took O.J. Simpson in 73 and played them against modern. How would he have done against modern teams? It's easy to do in football. Someone like a Barry Sanders or a Jim Brown in 63, or even a Dan Marino in 1984. He was, throw for 4,000 yards and 50 touchdown passes, or Peyton Manning, the year he threw for, some extraordinary stat in whatever your favorite sport is, and go, could I do that? How real was that? Because I think we all look at things, because we all have opinions on players and such like that. We love them or hate, and some, it's not the half pregnant thing. You either love them or hate them. It's like, this is not possible that player could do that. Well, here we go. Let's see. And so that type of thing, I kind of like. In basketball, it's kind of tougher. 61-62 is a year that intrigues me a great deal, especially for individuals, because that was the year that Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points a game. 50 points a game. How in the world do you do that? Well, you just feed him the ball an awful lot. And the other, of course, being that Oscar Robertson for Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Royals, now the Sacramento Kings, averaged a triple-double for the entire season, which is extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. I mean, only one other player, Dave, in basketball history has averaged a triple-double over the course of the season. And so, again, those are kind of easy targets to sit there and do. Oh, you're interested in playing as a player? Those are the two targets. Like, no, it can't be done. Of course, the thing is with early 60s basketball is you shoot a foul shot on every foul.
Yeah.
That's not there, and so it kind of takes it away. But so those are the type of things, you get down the rabbit hole of watching a YouTube video. Let's go watch some Walter Payton stuff. And so I guess that's where we're going with that. And I think we've all done it to a certain extent.
I think sometimes, though, when you play as your favorite player or your hero or whatever it is, there's a lot of room for disappointment in these things.
Absolutely.
Because, how many times did I start playing Bobby Orr when I first started playing these things, And he's turning the puck over every time. I'm like, what's going on here? This is Bobby Orr. He's losing the puck. Or, Jerry Cheevers can't make a save. Or Steve Grogan can't complete a pass. And it's just, there was a lot of incomplete passes, back in the day and things like that as a kid, you kind of block those out because you only remember the highlights.
Oh, we certainly, the glasses get more rose-colored the older we get.
So a lot of times there's a lot of disappointment when you go back and play your favorite players. It really is.
I certainly wouldn't be doing Jim Rice in the late 80s. 86 was his last really good year, doing 88 in there. And it's like, oh, yeah, Rice is up. Oh, yeah, he's had a decent year, but he's going to strike out a ton. And so you never want to see your favorite player age. It was weird. I was doing one of the the Blackhawks and the Islanders in 78, 79, and Bobby Orr is there with Chicago early on in the season, and going, oh, and then you start rooting for the player because it's Bobby. Even I will root for Bobby Orr, and it's like, oh,
I would love as a project is to take Orr and try to play him out that whole season with Chicago and see how it goes. And I think I've done that.
To a point a game.
I think I did that one time in Franchise Hockey Manager, which, by the way, I was playing Franchise Hockey Manager 10 the other day. I forgot to mention that. I was redrafting the Hartford Whalers when they joined the NHL. It didn't go well, but anyway, I think I've played that 78 Blackhawks team, and just for fun, I traded Phil Esposito back to the Blackhawks. So it was Phil, Tony, and Bobby Orr playing for the Hawks in 78, and I made sure that Orr was healthy. And that's always a fun thing to do, is go back and play somebody that's healthy and not have them be injured.
Well, what if there'd be a lot of them with Mark Fidrich, because he was only really healthy that 1 year. But it just struck a chord with our generation at the Monday night game against the Yankees. I suppose I had something and lost it.
Well, how many times have we tried to play a baseball game with someone who's one hit away or one home run away from something?
The Aaron Tribute game. I did the 7-15 game.
And you're playing that, and it's just can't get it.
No.
Just can't get it.
No. But if you look at someone like Tom Brady, who is clearly your favorite quarterback of all time, would you go back and do that 2007 season where he was so remarkable and not just right the wrong? I mean, we've done that show too, but just to enjoy someone at their absolute peak.
Sometimes it is fun. It is fun going back and playing teams at their peak. For me personally, when I go back and play seasons, I tend to play the seasons that they didn't win it all. So if they do win it, it's kind of a bonus. But where if I play a season that they either finished in first or won the Super Bowl, or if the Bruins won the Cup, whatever it is, and then they don't win, there's a disappointment there.
Right.
Whereas if
that season qualifies, that's the 18-1 year.
Yeah. But I tend to play the seasons that they didn't win it, and that way there, if I improve on something, then it's kind of cool that way, rather than being disappointed that they didn't go all the way.
What about like a Rick Middleton team, a team that maybe isn't in that run for the Bruins, that maybe wasn't expected to go all that far? That division wasn't that great in the early 80s anyway. Montreal was in decline. The height of the Islanders and the Oilers, would that be something that you could enjoy? I had no idea that Rick Middleton was a gentleman that he was as a player.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players as well.
Right.
You want to play teams at their best, or when they're close to being their best. You never really want to play mediocre teams. And I see a lot of people do that, like on Facebook or Delphi. They'll post, hey, I'm playing the Braves from whatever, and see if I can get better than 500 like they were in real life. Mm-hmm. Boy, props to those guys there who want to play a team that have no shot of winning it just because they enjoy the team. That's really kind of cool. But when I play as my hero, I tend to play for the enjoyment of playing as them, as going back and remembering as a kid, seeing these games, seeing the baseball cards, seeing the hockey cards, and just enjoying it for what it is kind of what I do it. And I just get a kick out of playing these old games with these old names and seeing the players. I especially enjoy playing games that have players that are on teams that are kind of not their familiar teams. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like when I go through the cards and I see, Rick Burleson on, was it the Angels or something like that? I was like,
right. Was there any
I don't remember Burleson on the Angels. That's going to be kind of fun to play, I don't remember this guy playing over here, and, then going back and reading the hockey news, it's fun seeing the transactions of all the players that were traded, and it's like, oh, I didn't know this guy played here, and this is why he ended up here and the whole bit. So it is kind of fun going back and playing players who are on, I don't want to say weird teams, but not the teams that they're known for.
I mean, Al did the Namath healthy on the 77 Rams.
Yeah, things like that can be. Yeah. I enjoy things like that because it's just a little bit out of the norm. You're so used to players playing with certain laundry on, and then when they play out of that, I enjoy that as well. So as far as playing as my heroes or my favorite players go, I have all kinds of different reasons, and usually it's just kind of a one-off, except for the Clemens thing. And I wouldn't consider Clemens my favorite pitcher of all time, but
no, but it's focused on the single player.
Yeah, it's focused on the local team, the Red Sox. It's on one player who I did like when he pitched in Boston. I did like Clemens. I have nothing against Clemens, but I don't know if I'd make him my favorite pitcher. I don't even know if I have a favorite pitcher, but he's definitely up there. So it's something where I think it's an attainable project for me. I'm not playing a whole season, and I can see how he does. So I did it in Strat. I'm doing it in payoff pitch. And it's just kind of fun because his card is so full of the tough on that card, but he's still 4-2, despite how tough he is to get a hit off of. He's 4-2. There was one game he was winning 1-0, and then in the 8th inning, back-to-back doubles, and then a single or something like that. Next thing you know, he's losing, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
Have you ever, because you were a season ticket holder for a while for the Worcester Ice Cats when they were in the AHL, would there be a player, doesn't matter how successful they were once they made the NHL, that you would go, oh yeah, I remember Sandy so-and-so, not necessarily to do it in a whole season project of Sandy so-and-so and whoever they were affiliated with or where he might get traded to, but going, yeah, I remember watching him and he might have had a hat trick or had a 50 save night or whatever, and he, got a few cups of coffee. I mean, again, doesn't necessarily have, whoever that is doesn't mean it's a superstar. It just means something to you.
Oh, yeah. What I'll do with something like that, which would mean I'd be playing, mid to late 90s teams or early 2000s, right. And I don't play a lot of that when I play hockey. But what I will do is if I'm playing a game of hockey and I'm spreading out the cards and I see a player that played for the Ice Cats on whatever team he's on, I will be more apt to put him in than not if I'm going to play that game, because I like to play with people I'm familiar with,
Sure.
and so it's fun when I remember seeing this guy play many games in Worcester, and so he's going to play in my game tonight, and it's that is kind of enjoyable too, is playing the people that you saw, and they might not be superstars, they might just be regular players, but I saw him, maybe I met him, and I'm going to have him play in my game. So that's another good point you bring up about playing as our favorite players. They don't necessarily have to be the best players. It could just be somebody.
No, I remember after you went to a book signing at a card shop and you met Reggie Leach.
Yep.
And you came home after that and played some games with Reggie Leach.
Yeah, I did.
And you got a whole new appreciation of, maybe not during his career, Reggie just burns me every time I play the Flyers that particular season. But yeah, I mean, again, a whole new appreciation of that just because you'd met him.
And the other guy that was there with him was Walt McKechnie. And,
okay, that's right.
Walt McKechnie played with the Bruins and the Seals with Reggie, and he played in Detroit. He played all over the place. Walt actually was the more talkative of the two, and I spent more time talking to Walt because he was telling stories. And it was just great talking to him. So when I see him, I'll see him a lot too. And I'll play Walt McKechnie quite a bit if I'm playing. I think he played with the Red Wings for a while, and obviously the Seals and the Bruins. But if I see him on a team, he's getting in the game. Just because I talked to him and he was, and I had a nice conversation with him. So yeah, so there's a few things like that I'll put people in the game just because of that. When I try to play, depending what I'm doing, usually I'll try to play a specific game in time, and so I'll try to play as close to the rosters that were in that game as possible. Sometimes it's not always possible. Sometimes it is. Every now and then with hockey, you got to sneak in an extra guy to make it even or fair or something like that. But, or maybe the guy's not carded for some reason. But I'll go back and I'll try to play as close to as possible. But every now and then I'll sneak in something. If I'm just playing like a one-off, if I say, hey, let me play some Hockey Bones tonight. I haven't played Hockey Bones in a while. I pull out a couple of teams. And I pick the guys that I want to be in the game. And it doesn't, there's sometimes I'll sit a really good guy just to play somebody that I haven't seen play before, and it's like, I know this guy, I want to play this guy. So,
all right. So let me ask the question this way. We all, once we started to get the console games in the 90s, put ourselves in. So Dave Gardner, although you played in the NHL, not you personally, but Dave Gardner played in the NHL, but we all put ourselves into Madden and the NHL and Triple Play and all that. Have you ever did that and played as the role of that one individual player as opposed to, because we're talking about this, you're talking about, from a macro perspective of playing the Bruins or the Celtics or whatever, doing some career games like that, but playing from the perspective of the player, which would be kind of like.
I've done that a couple times, actually. One time was, I forget which console it was, probably the Xbox 360, and it was a college football game. So it was before 2014 when they stopped making the college football.
Right.
And I said, okay, I don't want to be the quarterback. I says, but what other position could I do a whole bunch of different things aside from be the quarterback? Well, the running back was the position that I took. And because I figured the running back, you can run, you can go for a pass, and sometimes you have to block. So it was kind of fun that you had 3 different things you could do on a play instead of always having the ball in your hands as the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And so I think you play a couple of high school games and then you get the quote drafted. And I decided that, I got drafted by all these teams for college, but it was like, okay, you'll be the 3rd string running back, 2nd string running back. Well, one college drafted me as their top running back. That was North Carolina. So I decided to play for North Carolina as their starting running back as a freshman. And
Pesky Poe has now dropped his Patreon because you played for North Carolina. But.
And to this day, like when I go on Saturday afternoon college football, I'll look for the North Carolina game just because I played on them in the video game. And it was fun, going out for the pass, running the ball. Sometimes my assignment was just to block somebody. And then, when defense was on the field, you kind of sat and watched. You could skip ahead to when the offense was back out. And you didn't play every play either. Sometimes you were sitting on the bench watching. That was actually kind of fun because you were playing as one guy. And the same thing happened in, I want to say it was 2014 NHL for the Xbox, where I created myself as a defenseman, and I still go back and play that once in a while. And you play just a little bit. And you could see your meter going down to when you get tired, and it gets to a point.
I did that. I forget what game that was, but yeah, I've done that before.
And it gets to a point that if your meter is down so low that you just can't move, your dog tired, so you can't play the whole game. Or if you want to, you can play the whole game. You can just set it up so the lines never change.
Shut off the fatigue, right?
But it's been kind of I remember it being fun. So you see your meter going down, and the puck goes in the offensive zone, and you skate to the bench, and the change is automatic, and then it shows you the view from the bench from you watching it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was so cool because you felt like you were just a player. And then if you got a penalty, you sat in the box,
Yeah. I've made myself a second baseman in an OTP. Don't necessarily do major league stuff, because you can do whatever, if you want to do the Lord of the Rings league, you can with that. And that's kind of cool because you don't need to have any physical dexterity to do that. But it is kind of cool to see, you get mad at yourself when you make an error.
Yeah.
Or if you strike out in a situation where you couldn't. I make myself too fast, but I also have some power. So I'm in the part of the lineup where it's not really smart for me to steal, or you can't get the jump.
Yeah.
So you do get kind of so that's always kind of fun.
The first time I did that was on the original PlayStation, and it was one of the hockey games that come out, like 99 or 00, or whatever it was. And I created myself as a defenseman for the Bruins. And what was really cool is again, this was just kind of the PlayStation. It wasn't the whoop-de-doo graphics, but the graphics were okay.
For the time, they were pretty good.
Yeah, and I remember that like during whistles, they would zoom in on different players. You know what I mean? So it'd be like, it'd zoom in on the goalie, he'd be clearing away the snow out of the crease or something like that, or it'd zoom in on the guy, Bergeron coming in to take the face off or something like that. Well, one time, there was a whistle and a save, whatever, and it zoomed in on me. And it said, Dave Gardner with my number and my position and my stats. And it was like a TV broadcast. And I thought that was just the cat's meow. I was like, that is so cool that I created myself in this game, and here I am, and I'm in the game just like I was a regular player. And that little cutaway scene, that was just so cool that they thought about doing stuff like that, especially with a created character. And I was like, yep, that was so cool. I remember that. But yeah, putting yourself in games is kind of fun. Some people even create their own cards. I think Strat will make you a card. You could
make your own Strat card. You used to be able that you can make your own baseball card with tops too, but Strat you can do it. It's meant for your kid's little league team,
right? Yeah,
but which is kind of cool. But again, the same type of thing. One last question, I suppose, would be would you ever consider a project for? I've done them, in my head being an umpire. We certainly do enough as a broadcaster, and all that. But or manager, what if Belichick never coaches again? Would that be something that, from that perspective of what decision would Bill have made in this, or because people play for a variety of different reasons. For that, it's certainly off the beaten path as far as why people would do a project or a one-off. But has that ever crossed your mind? Certainly for baseball, it's a not managed like Don Zimmer. I've done that, but you know where I'm going with that.
I think it depends on the game, because some games there's a coach aspect to it.
Right. And then the strat games are pretty good from that level. And
there's some games that it doesn't matter who the coach is. It
right.
doesn't. You're playing players only. So I guess it would depend on the game. For me, I would, if it was a team game, I might think about playing something like that. But yeah, for me, it's more the players than it is the coaches, because usually the coaches here were really bad, and we had bad seasons here, or we came so close to the edge. You know what I mean?
The Chuck Fairbanks thing really doesn't appeal to you, huh?
Yeah, I might, if there was a franchise hockey manager equivalent of football, that would be kind of neat.
Well, there's front office football, but that's more of a GM type deal. Just there's an endless variety of ways or reasons to play, but just playing from strat hockey does a really good job of putting you as the player. Do you go for that hit as that and risk the penalty to stop their going in, or coaching, or you can even put yourself in an action PC, create yourself as a player. I've never done it. Actually, I've done it for golf. I've done it for both for ASG golf and action PC golf. Make yourself the player. But that sort of thing, instead of just, there's an endless amount of ways to play, and so that's.
Yeah, it's fun. So, so we want to know from you guys, playing as your heroes, playing as your favorite players, or even playing as a coach or as a team, just, how do you guys do it? When you guys decide to play, do you play it just a one-off? Do you try to do a career mode or a season mode? Are you looking to get stats or playing a certain game that somebody played in, trying to get that home run or goal or touchdown or whatever like that? So we want to know some of the reasons why you play as certain players. Or people. So, all righty. So, should we get to the 3 stars of the week?
Absolutely.
All righty. Star number 3, in no particular order, we have in episode 210. This is, by the way, Mitchell Hirsch. Mitchell, thank you so much.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much for supporting the show. And number 2 star, Vic Boulay. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. Vic, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And our number 1 star here in episode 210, he just joined in on the Discord, I believe, Joel Hill. Joel, thank you so much.
Yay!
Yep, I hope you're enjoying the Discord there. We've added a few more people this month to Discord, and we had some pretty good discussions in there. We It's a little bit more intimate in the Discord than it is compared to the Facebook, because it's kind of the people that are really into the show. And we have a lot of good discussions on what we're playing and show topics and this and that. So it's a little bit more of an intimate setting than it is the Facebook, which is kind of wild.
The lights are down low.
Yes. And the discussions are a little bit more focused. So anyway, all right. So let's wrap this up here in episode 210, shall we?
Absolutely.
In English?
First day, new tug.
All right, you've been listening to the Digital to Dice podcast. This has been episode 210.
San Antonio.
And we've been talking about playing as your favorite player and some of the reasons why we do that. Ways to get a hold of us. digitaltodice.com is the website. digitaltodice.com, that is the website. 978-751-DICE is the dice line. Send us a text. digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email. Over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon like Joel did, head over to patreon.com/digital2dice, and you can help us keep the show going as we're in year 4 or 5. I forget what we're
we're
now.
5th anniversary is in July.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, we just keep on going and going, and thanks to your help, we can keep doing that. So, anyway, I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
Until next time.
Remember the Alamo. Bye-bye.